Okay, we are on lesson number 310 of a workbook of A Course in Miracles, and we've come to the end of our daily contemplation of the second coming with this lesson, and we will move on tomorrow to consider the next section, which is the second coming. But in today's lesson, in Fearlessness 310, in Fearlessness and Love, I spend today. It's interesting that this lesson directly ties in to the only, I don't know what I can say, how I would say this. Let me see if I can come up with a phrase that makes sense to say what I would like to say. Okay. The working understanding, and I don't want to say definition, I don't want to say definition, because actually love is discovered when we free ourselves from definition. So the process by which we demonstrate and extend love here in space and time is best elucidated in the phrase by Jesus in A Course in Miracles that says, love is letting go of fear. Okay? Now, it doesn't say, and this lesson doesn't say, I will not fear today. I won't have any fear today, and I'll spend today in love. What it says, in fearlessness and love I spend today. Love is letting go of fear. Okay? We're not here necessarily to be without the experience of fear, but we are here to experience love as we let go of fear, or as we become fearless, which requires the admission of fear within us without the succumbing to the need to defend ourselves because we experience that fear, with the allowance for the remembrance that instead of reacting to the fear, reacting or responding in a sense to the fear, we could recognize and use the experience of fear as a way of allowing our mind shift into an understanding of what love is, by not identifying with the fear, protecting ourselves from the fear, defending ourselves from the fear, ignoring the experience of the fear, but by allowing the fear to come up in the recognition that there's only love, and utilize forgiveness to allow our mind to be shifted from a condition of feeling fear to feeling less fear, as a way of loving ourselves and our neighbor as we're learning to love and be able to communicate, open our minds and our hearts to our Father. So in fearlessness and love, I spend today. So fear is going to come up, but you're not going to react to fear or even understand it. You have loosed the world from all you thought it was, including what fear is. So fear is no longer the obstacle in your mind that it had been previously. while it is an obstacle to the awareness of love's presence, it's no longer an obstacle to you, because when fear comes up, you can use it to become less fearful by identifying with the Holy Spirit through the action of forgiveness, and therefore open your heart and your mind to release blockages that, as you release them, allow more love to enter into you and free yourself from the parameters or limitation or ideas and misunderstandings and misperceptions that were causing the fear to be experienced in the first place. Because you know now fear is not what you thought it was, and it's certainly not, doesn't have to be dealt with the way the world would tell us we need to deal with fear. This day, my Father, would I spend with you, as I spend every day, actually. Yet the more important part of it right now is our ability to become aware of the presence of love through the release of fear. You have chosen as you have chosen all my days should be, exactly. And what I will experience is not of time at all. Okay, it's not saying that you will no longer be in space-time. It is saying, however, that what you experience within your heart and mind, when you spend your day in fearlessness and love, will not be of this world, but will be of your own reality of the kingdom. And you will be imbued, and you will have opened yourself to the light and love of what we all are in reality, while we're still apparently utilizing space and time as a healing modality for the Son of God, who for a second remembered not to laugh. The joy that comes to me is not of days nor hours, for it comes from heaven to your Son. And what is heaven? This is another understanding. I love the fact that in the Course, Jesus gives us actions of mind rather than definitions that, when we employ, bring the experience to us of exactly what he's talking about. And this is another one of those. The joy that comes to me is not of days nor hours, for it comes from heaven to your Son. Okay, what is an active understanding of heaven so as to allow you to not have to live in a static condition of denial of it, but to understand that your own decision is a requirement in the recognition and experience of your own divine nature as being what was created by our Father in heaven. So what it says here is, the joy that comes to me is not of days nor hours, for it comes from heaven to your Son. Okay? Heaven, when Jesus talks about heaven, is where the will of the Father and the will of the Son are in perfect accord. And because of the fact that the dream of space and time is not a reality, there's never been a moment when the will of the Father and the will of the Son have been out of accord, but there has been a mistake in our minds that's being healed now of a thought that we could have accepted. There is a possibility of an alien will that we are following, and therefore a will other than our Father's. Now that's all a dream, okay, and an impossibility. And the utilization of fearlessness as a way of allowing ourselves to see what needs to be forgiven within our heart and mind, so as to have love take the place of the fear and guilt. Okay? Allows these incidents, when we experience not being in accord with the will of the Father, the point of reference wherein which we can decide or choose once again that what we want is thy will to be done. What we want is thy will, Father, not my will, because thy will and my will are one will when I surrender what I want based on what this is saying, being something of days and hours of the world. This day will be your sweet reminder to remember you, your gracious calling to your Holy Son. The sign your grace has come to me, and that it is your will that I be free today. It's always been your will that I be free, beyond even the freedom that we experience as we loose the world from what we thought it was, and no longer, or maybe incrementally in holy instances, let's say, or in actions of forgiveness, or in moments where there's miraculous instance of joining and healing that takes place between two brothers, we will now begin to recognize how free we are even here, because we are not bound by the laws of space and time when we refuse to accept that we need to be, and yet not know what to do instead, because all we know is of space and time until we begin to experience that which is beyond as a way of deferring to the fact that all your problems have been answered in the Holy Spirit, because none of your problems have a reality whatsoever. We spend this day together, you and I, and all the world joins with us in our song of thankfulness and joy to him who gave salvation to us and who set us free and restored to peace and holiness. There is no room in us for fear today, for we have welcomed love into our hearts. And when we welcome love into our hearts, we're welcoming the totality of a reality that has no opposite. And because what's all-encompassing can have no opposite, and love is all-encompassing, because it is what you are, and it is what God is, and it is what God shares with us, his love. And as we accept his love through the giving of it here in space and time, through the process of letting go of fear and allowing love to be recognized as a process of coming into instances of the awareness of love's presence, as we release ourselves in moments of fear by remembering the choice has always been ours, and we do not have to succumb to the world and its terms and react to that which seems to be fearful, because our new orientation has shown us that the world is a place where we have come to heal our minds, not continue in denial and separation through warring with ourselves. Okay, so that'll be lesson 310, and in fearlessness and love I spend today. It's really important to remember that all our ideas about this are false, and we can enter into a here and now, receive the guidance for ourselves personally, and recognize there's an entirely different way to see this that has nothing to do with the world whatsoever, but everything to do with the nature of your true relationship with your Father and all your brothers. It requires determination on your part, and you must be motivated. You must be motivated to change for a purpose not in this world, because changing for a purpose in this world is merely changing seats on the Titanic. Okay? I like that there are active understandings rather than definitions. Love is letting go of fear. The kingdom of heaven is where the will of the Father and the will of the Son are in perfect accord. So we can use that as an active way to watch our minds and our hearts for that which is discordant to the truth, and use the discord as a way of reestablishing the recognition of the harmony that's always been there. We free ourselves from definitions through the use of our mind in decision making. The power of decision. There's nothing happens but by your decision, but by my decision. Okay. So love is letting go of fear, and the kingdom of heaven is where the will of the Father and the will of the Son are in perfect accord. Okay? So if you're feeling out of accord, and you're feeling a little fearful, then the loving thing to do is recognize that within you must be the place where the will of the Father and the will of the Son are already in perfect accord. And allow yourself the freedom to understand that there is no will but that will, and everything else is an illusion and is fearful. And the way we come into the recognition of love is by not succumbing to the fear and defending ourselves, but by looking into our minds at the things that we have made fearful, the things that we have made the obstacles to love's presence. And with the light of the Holy Spirit, look at them and watch them disappear into the nothingness that they've always been part of. I'm looking forward to reading tomorrow. I don't know if you can hear the wind chime outside. It's very quiet up here, especially when I don't have a lot of people around. So in fearlessness and love, I, and therefore you and I, we, will spend today, and we'll spend this day together. And all the world will join with us in the song of thankfulness, of joy to Him who gave us salvation and who set us free from thinking we were enslaved in a world of space and time, and allow us now to utilize the decision to accept that freedom as a way of joining with our brothers and celebrating. And in that celebration, where two or more are gathered, there is the Christ. And what is the Christ? But your own true identity, recognized through forgiveness, and a whole part of the universal mind of God.